With him and Aaron's working, so. Scots. I'm at the New York premiere chatting.
There was some serious girl power on this film set, and I wanted to be a part of that big time. I was at first very trepidatious about taking on the role of Elizabeth, who's been portrayed by some of the greatest actresses of all time. It's quite a terrifying legacy to attempt to join. So I was definitely hesitant about the role, but about the project in general, I was incredibly excited. I wanted to work with Josie, I wanted to work with Serge, and the script was really brilliant. And I don't find a lot of similarities between old Lizzie and I. Of course, there's been so many different portrayals, and people obviously focus on different character traits in each portrayal of Elizabeth that you see. In this version, in this depiction, I really had a good time exploring her more vulnerable side. I think the Elizabeth that I portray in this film is very cautious, is very isolated, and sadly, I think she has quite a tragic arc in the film. By the end, she really does several times with all ties with her womanhood and kind of becomes the throne and the image of a monarch. Yeah, Serge is amazing. She's a brilliant actress. She's a brilliant person. I was just so happy. She was a big part of why I wanted to do this. I wanted to work with her so badly. You know, I think historical pieces are always fascinating to me because I do feel like they are always commenting on things that we're talking about and analysing in society at the current moment. This film certainly does that. So I guess it's a wonderful way. You can escape to another world, but you can also kind of analyse a lot of conversations that are going on in current society.
It's something that I've been attached to for about 6 years. It's the longest amount of time I've ever been with one film for, and it is amazing like how different the relationship is with the project. You're just so sort of immersed in it and emotionally so connected to it because you've spent so much time thinking about it. So by the time I actually got to do it, it just felt like, I don't know, it felt like something I had waited a long time to do. It was really special. What was Mary like? She's described as being someone who's quite passionate, quite strong-willed, really sort of wants to follow her own path. She came from a long line of Stuarts who were very, very fiery, and her mother was really sort of tenacious and really headstrong, and yeah, she was just a real fighter, you know. And she was a girl, she was a human, and she fell in love, and she wanted to be a mother and kind of wanted it all.
There were a number of reasons. I thought for a period film, which can often read quite stuffy and formal, the way that Beau Willimon, who wrote the script, the screenplay felt very refreshing and alive, and also relevant and modern, and the fact that Saoirse and Margot are attached. And I was a huge fan of Josie and her work in theatre before at the Donmar. So there was a multitude of reasons I wanted to be involved.
Tell me a little bit.
So I play Robert Dudley, and he is he's part of Queen Elizabeth's council, and he's the kind of closest male figure to her. He's her lover, and he's the one that gets closest to her. Compared to the other men, he's a bit of an outsider in the sense that he doesn't act, his agenda isn't political or in terms of his own benefit or self-gain or power. It isn't for politics, but he acts out of love and loyalty for her, and is willing to kind of sacrifice himself in that sense, at least in this version of the story.
I played David Rizzio, who is the right hand of Mary, Queen of Scots, and he becomes in history the liaison for French affairs and really her most close confidant. I think in many ways you can draw so many parallels to what's happening today. For example, I mean, the through line of the story is how women have been coerced in many ways. Their power has been blocked. Their power has been taken away. Even these big figures of power, you have had a lot of toxic masculine figures around them trying to usurp or guide their paths for their benefit. So when you see this movie, it's really a testament to what's happening today, and that the fight for that equality and for that power has taken so many hundreds of years, and it's enough of that.
It's a film shot in Scotland, and I'm from Scotland, and anytime anything's made there, I want to be involved. And even more so when it's about Mary, Queen of Scots, because she's a figure that's talked about a lot in Scotland and romanticised, and so to get to know her in a different way would be great. And just, yeah, I mean, the cast, Saoirse and Margot, and the part that I got to play is a total gift of a part. He's a great character to play. I play Lord Darnley, who Mary marries, and he becomes King Consort of Scotland. And quite quickly it becomes evident that he's not going to be the man that he wants to be anymore, and is going to have to play second fiddle to a woman, which was, to some people back then, a horrific idea, and that's really something that's at the core of the film. And so it was great to sort of explore that and explore his vulnerability as well and his insecurities. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, I'm Scottish and she's Irish, so there was an instant sort of understanding of humour and sarcasm that helped with what we had to do. And I think, I mean, I was completely led by Saoirse. She was just a phenomenal leader on set, and no, she's amazing.
An amazing script by Beau Willimon, the author of House of Cards. A great story that needed to be told, a fresh story about these queens that talks about how hard it was for them to struggle with the men around them and all the ambition and the conspiracy, and that felt very new and exciting. And I think that Saoirse was on board first, and Margot really wanted to work with her. Also, there's this one big cool scene in the movie where they meet face to face. It's a big, long, 7-minute epic scene, and I think they both really wanted to act that scene. Well, I think that we are continually asking ourselves questions about how we can improve women's workplaces, even if those workplaces are kingdoms of Europe.
It came because I realised that Mary's enemies had stolen her story. So I went back to the archives, to the actual original 16th century sources, to find out, the truth. And it was just different to the version of history that had come down to us, because her enemies put out what today we'd call alternative facts. And so I tried to set the record straight and give Mary her own story back so that she could own it again. My other half and I, Julia Fox, who's another historian, we took Margot Robbie to Hampton Court with Josie Rourke for a whole afternoon, and we had a great time. I saw quite a number of cast members individually, and just gave them coaching sessions.
Elizabeth wasn't always the one that we picture as this sort of resolute, stalwart figure. At that time, she was insecure, indecisive, and really threatened by Mary. She learned a lot from Mary and became the Elizabeth that we now know. So being able to challenge these stereotypes and allow these two queens to tell their story as opposed to stories being imposed upon them, I think is not only sort of helps set the historical record straight, but through our 2018 lens, we're able to investigate them in ways that we might not have before. Saoirse and Margot are so dedicated to their craft. I mean, the amount of rehearsal, the amount of research, the amount of really getting in the skin of these characters that they did just in preparation, let alone when the cameras start rolling, was really awe-inspiring. The whole story is about their relationship, and yet they spend most of the movie apart from one another. Josu really helped create a sort of narrative framework in the filming that allowed them to feel as though they are in dialogue with each other, even though for much of the film that's happening just through letters and emissaries.
Hey there, here's today's daily fact. In the film Elizabeth the Golden Age, when Elizabeth arrives at St. Paul's Cathedral, construction is going on. Now in real life, St. Paul's actually needed repair work. Director Shekhar Kapoor decided to improvise and gave the workers costumes and period tools to cut real stone that was being installed in the cathedral. Now the workers in the scene are real life stonemasons and construction workers. Now click here below to subscribe for more great content.